Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, my name is Holly. I make food and fitness content. And if you're not new here, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm also joined today by a very sleepy little guest. I guess like you're my brother. Is that what we're like, brother and sister? He's like my mum's dog, so it's kind of like my brother. Basically, I'm looking after my mum and dad's dog for 2 weeks. So we will have a little fluffy thing featuring in the next 2 weeks of videos, won't we? So for this week's YouTube video, we're going to be jumping in with, oh, that sound, a Q&A. I asked you guys for some questions on Instagram and I'm going to be diving in and answering all of them. And I always ask for juicy ones and you guys never fail to provide the juicy questions. There was a fair few questions about a certain type of situation and I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to delay it. We're just going to jump into those ones first. So the first question was, how are you feeling post breakup? You look like you're doing so much better. So thank you so much. I've had a lot of messages like that recently and it's hard to say like how I feel because I guess like the answer I don't know just sucks, but I am definitely in a way better place, like 100% in a way better place, but I'm definitely not healed or I guess over the situation. I guess it's been like 7 weeks, which is like near on 2 months now from the actual breakup, and yeah, I'm definitely in a way better place. 100%. I can look back and I can say that and I can say like I'm really proud of myself and everything that I've done over the past few weeks to really like get myself back in a good place, and I've surrounded myself with my amazing friends and my amazing family, and I've implemented loads of like healthy coping mechanisms. Like you guys probably seen, I've really like dove into my fitness journey again and I'm really dedicating a lot of time to that, but also dedicating a lot of time to just doing things that like make me really happy. And I feel like with doing that, like my confidence has come back and I just feel happy, and I do genuinely feel happy. There is definitely moments where I still feel really sad and I'll just have like the most random cry. Like I'll literally just be sat in bed ready to go to sleep and I'll just cry for like 10 minutes and then I'm kind of like, okay, you've had your cry, move on. And I think that's definitely in a nicer place than I was. I think before it was just like constant tears and constant sadness and just this feeling that like the sadness would never leave. But time is the biggest healer, and as every single day has gone on, even if it's not felt like it on the day, I've improved by 1%, and that 1% has added up and it's got me to the place where I am now, where I can say, yeah, I'm okay. And when people ask me about it, I'm like, yeah, like, do you know what? I do actually feel good. But I guess I say I don't know because I think one day I feel angry, one day I feel sad, one day I feel happy, and it's just a roller coaster of emotions. And I definitely feel like I'm healing, but I'm not going to say that I'm in a place where I feel healed, and I don't really know when I'll be able to say that. I think sometimes people have an ability to cause a lot of damage, even if that is in a really short amount of time. And to be honest, I'm just looking forward to like in another month's time, looking back and seeing how much further I've come. The next question is, have you had any contact with your ex? And when I first read this, I was like, oh, that like feels a little bit personal. Like, I don't know whether I want to talk about that, but I actually think I do, because I feel like the answer can potentially help other people if you're in the same situation. And no, we have not had any contact. You guys will know we were in a long distance relationship anyway, so he literally lives on the other side of the earth. But we had to have one phone conversation purely logistically because I had some of his stuff in the apartment, so that had to be arranged to be shipped back to America, and that was the last conversation we've had. We are blocked on each other's social media. We have had no nice words, no mean words, no nothing. We've had no contact, and I cannot tell you how much that has helped me. And I've done this in previous relationships where we've broken up and we've just decided that no contact is the best thing, and I cannot express enough how much no contact after a breakup is genuinely the best way forward. And it is the hardest thing. It is so hard and it feels so painful at times, and there has been many a moment where you just sit there and you think like, all I want to do is just like message that person. But you have to understand that like that is not going to help the situation. You've broken up for a reason. You just need to remind yourself of those reasons and just understand that you're probably not going to get what you want out of that conversation. That conversation is not going to make you feel any better. You literally need to block, delete, remove them from your phone. Anything that has any form of way of you contacting that person, just delete it, because I promise you, you will have moments where you panic and it's just your brain adjusting to kind of like your new situation. And I am bad at this. Like I will panic and I will suddenly start to like scramble and it will be like, oh my God, like I really need to speak to that person. Like I just need to have a conversation with them. But you don't. Just calm yourself, remind yourself that you do not need to speak to that person. Instead, text your friend, FaceTime your friend, just tell them, be like, oh God, like I'm really in my head, like I just want to speak to this person, and let them talk you down off that ledge, because it's just a state of panic. And just remind yourself that ultimately not speaking to them is going to lead to you being so much happier in the long run. The next one was, do you think you'll live in Manchester forever, or do you see it as temporary? So there was definitely a point in my life where I really thought that Manchester was going to be like my forever place, and if it was, like I would be so happy. Like I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I found an amazing group of friends here. I feel very at home up north now. However, I do think going to LA earlier in the year and kind of experiencing living out there for, I guess it was like a couple of months that I was out there, really showed me like how big the world is and how much there is to experience. And I feel like I wouldn't be doing myself justice if I didn't give myself the opportunity to go and explore that. So my dream would be to live abroad for a period of time. I think I probably will always come back to England. Like I do genuinely love our seasons. I love how like light it is in the summer, but I love how like cozy it gets in the winter. I say this, wait till it does actually get dark and I'm probably going to be complaining about it. But I do genuinely love England, and obviously like my family's here, so I can't imagine I would move away permanently, but I do definitely see myself living in a different country for maybe like a year, 2 years, 3 years before coming back to the UK. I think that would be nice. I think he's snoring. Then the next one is end goals for 2023. I love this question. You guys know that I love setting a goal. So the first one is going to be to complete the New York City Marathon and just kind of give my all to like my training block that I'm in for that at the moment. And number two is to continue kind of on this like focusing on me path that I'm on. Like I feel like I'm on a really good path at the moment and I'm really enjoying like where I'm heading, and I feel like I'm growing a lot as a person. So if I can look back at the end of the year and be like, yeah, I really like found my footing with like my self-growth journey and I really carried that on and devoted myself to it, then I'd be really, really proud of myself. And number three, he's on the move. The old man is on the move. He literally just looks like a cushion. It's so cute. And my third goal for 2023, and this is something I've been working really hard at, is to say yes to more things. And that might sound a bit cheesy or just a bit basic, but I kind of noticed that I was sort of like isolating myself a little bit more or turning down opportunities and just really like hindering myself essentially. So kind of going forward into the end of the year, I'm like, no, I need to say yes to more things. I need to really be putting myself out there a lot more, because I guess like I don't really do that a lot. Like sometimes I get so stuck in my routine that I'm like, oh no, like I can't do it if it breaks my routine. But I'm like, no, like just say yes to more things, go and meet up with new people, make new connections, make new friends, and just be a bit more outgoing, I think is a good goal for the end of the year. And I have been doing that, and I have been saying yes to a lot more things, and I've met a lot of like incredible people through doing that and really like pushed myself outside of my comfort zone. So I guess just to continue doing that would be really good. The next question is, any big purchases planned, like a house or a car? No. I really like love my apartment. Like I actually like love this apartment, and I know some people have different opinions on renting, but for me, like I've never even thought about buying. I think because of, like I said earlier, like I would love to like go and live abroad. Like buying, like buying just really isn't on, are you okay? Like buying really just like isn't on the cards for me. Like it's just not even something I would even consider. And car wise, I have a Ford Fiesta that has been in my family for 8 years now, and I love that car. Like that car gets me from A to B, and that is all I need it to do. Don't get me wrong, when I was in LA and I was driving that Jeep around, like I love that car, and my dream car is a Jeep, and I would love to have a Jeep one day, but it's just not really like on the cards for me at the moment. Like there's nothing wrong with my Ford Fiesta, so I feel like I would just continue to drive that around until the day it literally dies. This next one made me laugh, and there was quite a few people asking like a similar thing, and it was, have you started dating again, or are you in your single girl era? Guys, I am definitely not dating. Let me set the record straight in case anyone is wondering. I am definitely not dating. Like when I say I am literally focusing on myself at the moment, I do not have an ounce of energy to give to a dating life. Like I just am not in that headspace. I really just want to like focus on me and like pursue my goals. Like I feel like I really lost a lot of my kind of like goals and my motivation in my previous relationship, and now I've got that back. Like I literally do not want to lose that, and like I come first. Like I come first now. Like nobody is being put above me ever again, and I will always continually put myself first. And for me at the moment, like me putting myself first is just dedicating any time and energy that I have into myself, into my friends, and into my family. So no, I'm definitely not dating, and dating is not on the cards. This next one asked for my biggest tip to stay motivated with fitness and running, and I think I'm going to say that thing first that all fitness people say, and it's really annoying and it's not very helpful, but you are not always going to be motivated. You need to remember that, because if you are relying on motivation, you are most likely never going to achieve your fitness goals, because I am not motivated all the time. You need to build in discipline, and my biggest tip to building in discipline is to pre-plan. And I always say this all the time, and I'm literally like plan. Make a bulletproof plan. At the beginning of your week, I'm literally going to do this in a minute, sit down and plan out your exercise into your week. And if that includes writing out your meal plan for the week because you feel like you're not very good at sticking to that, do that as well. If you can sit on a Sunday and write yourself out a bulletproof plan through the week to achieve your goals, all you need to do is follow that plan and you will achieve it. And by following that plan and proving to yourself day in, day out that you are capable of doing that, and you're capable for showing up for yourself and working towards your goals, you will build the discipline. And that's not something that happens overnight. That happens from continually doing this. But one day you will just suddenly be like, wow, like I am incredibly disciplined. And that was something that I really noticed within myself recently. I will never ever question whether I'm going to do my workouts this week, whether I'm going to do my runs, because I just know I'm going to do them, because I've built up such a level of discipline. But I wasn't always like this. Like I wasn't like this in the beginning of my fitness journey. This came through sitting down at the beginning of every week, writing out my plan and being like, right, I am going to follow that to a T this week. So my biggest tip for motivation is to actually build discipline, but do that through planning and creating that bulletproof plan week in, week out that you can stick to, that's going to lead you straight to your goals. This question is advice for your 17-year-old self. Maybe just stop taking life so seriously. Like, I think when I look back and when I was 17, there was periods where I literally felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulder, and I had a lot of pressure around kind of like A-levels and getting into university, and it's understandable why I felt like that and why I felt so kind of like tightly wound and so serious. And I guess it's easier for me to say now, because when I look back, I think like, well, look how like well you've done, despite still not doing very well in your A-levels. But I just think I took those things so seriously, like most 17-year-olds do. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take your A-level seriously, you definitely should. But also, if they don't go the way you planned, that does not mean that you've set yourself up for a life of failure, because that is genuinely how I felt. And actually looking back at it, not getting the A-levels I wanted, not getting into the university I wanted, was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because it led me up to Manchester, and this was the city where I literally found the most incredible group of friends, and I actually feel like I found such an amazing home here. And also obviously with that, it led into what I'm doing now. So I guess more than advice, I just wish I could go back, give her like a really big hug and just be like, it's okay if things don't work out exactly the way you want them to. And just because this moment feels really rubbish, it doesn't mean that life is going to be rubbish. And it's like a quote that I read from my book the other day, and it's like, this is a moment in your life, this moment is not your life. So I guess I wish I could just go back and literally just read her that, kind of help her realize that, yeah, it feels really rubbish right now, but like, you're gonna move on to like better things. Somebody asked, are you planning to go back to LA besides what happened? And again, I did have a lot of questions kind of like around like LA, would I go back, would I not go back? And when me and my ex broke up, I was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't think of anything worse than going back to LA. Like, why would I ever want to be there? But actually that is just such a silly way to think, because I never went to LA initially because of that person. I went to LA because I wanted to do something really like bold in my life, and I really wanted to take like a really big leap and do something that really like made me feel nervous, challenged me, but also was a really incredible experience. And when I think back to like getting on that flight and when I first got to LA, like I had the most incredible experience there. Like I absolutely fell in love with it. And I feel like even when I watch back my content from when I was in LA, like I could just see how happy I was there. Like I love it. I love the lifestyle. I love the beach. I love the city. I love the people. I love how sunny it is. I just love it. And for me not to go back to a place where like 3 million people live just because of like one singular person would be really silly. And I actually feel like I would be doing my past self a disservice if I really let that stop me going back, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would definitely go back. I'd go back in a heartbeat. Like I absolutely loved it. And there's so much more to LA than just like one person that I probably wouldn't even stumble across, because like I have ex-boyfriends in London and like that doesn't stop me going down to like London and I never bump into them. So it's kind of like the similar thought process. But yeah, if you'd have asked me that like 7 weeks ago, I probably would have been like, oh my god, I would never go back there. But of course I would go back. I absolutely loved it there. We've been deserted for the final question of the Q&A, but the final question is the biggest lesson that you've learned in your 20s. And this is hard because trust me, I've learned a lot of lessons, especially this year. I've been taught a lot of lessons. The biggest ones that I've learned is to set boundaries and to not be a people pleaser. And I don't know if anyone else will relate to this, but I am a little bit of a people pleaser and I have an inability to set boundaries. I need to be capable of putting boundaries in so that certain people can't come into my life and use that to their advantage. So I guess even with like friendships, like this isn't me specifically talking about like that one situation, like this has happened with plenty of friendships as well, where people just take advantage of it, and it's really rubbish. And it's really rubbish that people do that, but also it comes to a point where it's like, okay, you can't sit and blame other people constantly for this, because actually you're not really doing anything to change your behavior and put those boundaries in place so they can't take advantage of you. So a really big lesson for me this year that I'm really trying to work on is to actually put some boundaries in place and ultimately just grow a bit of a backbone and put my foot down and speak like my truth and stop just trying to make everybody else around me happy, because that will only in turn make me feel so unhappy, because it's just essentially me constantly telling myself that like I don't even put myself first. So if I'm not even putting myself first, how can I expect anyone else in my life to put me first? So that is definitely something that I've really, really learned this year, and it's definitely something that I will continue to like work on constantly. And I'm sure that sounded really deep, but it's been a really like enlightening experience for me to kind of like really actually become like so self-aware that like I know that now and I can see that behavior within myself and do something about it so that shitty people can't come in and walk all over me, and actually I can put my foot down, and in turn those people won't even be able to like come into my life because they'll see me as somebody that they can't mistreat or walk all over, like I said. But I think it's important to talk about these things because I'm definitely not the only person that has these tendencies, and I'm definitely not the only people pleaser in the world, and we can work together on not being people pleasers. But I'm going to sign the Q&A off here because I feel like little one probably needs to go for a walk before bedtime, and it is actually heading into the evening. So thank you guys so much for the wonderful questions, and thank you for watching this week's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday.